Srimathe Ramanujaya Namaha. Yathiraja Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhya Jagannatha Yadeva Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Seeking the blessings at the lotus feet of Jeeyar Swami, my pranams to everyone assembled here. Anaavarana. ಅದು ನಾನು ಅನಾವರಣದಲ್ಲ ಜೀವ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅನಾವರಣ ನನಗೆ when I looked at all the episodes, it felt like an inner awakening for myself. So I would say this Anaavarana is, can be looked as an inner awakening for all the disciples, because so many experiences people have shared and experienced, and so many learnings that we can all get out of all that. So that's the reason why I'm seeing this as an inner awakening. And as far as today's talk is concerned, from Anaavarana on behalf of me, I would like to say this theme is like my company and association with Jeeyar Swami. Very simple. And what I personally perceived over the years of this beautiful association and all the learnings that I personally adapted in my personal life for the spiritual growth is what I would like to share, along with some tidbits about the experiences that we had. So the primary goal was to, with this association, is to actually get this God, consciousness, right? He calls Ramanujaya consciousness and God consciousness. So how do we also change ourselves in this entire process to help the society at large? That's what I personally felt is very important in many of the discussions with Jeeyar Swami. So if I go back to my childhood, and ever since a little boy, I had a lot of affinity towards, somehow I don't know what it is, but I had a lot of affinity towards sainthood and meeting with the saints and learning from them. And when I was grown up in Mysore, it was Anaavarana Mata with Parakala Swami Mata. So sometimes I used to take books and to Parakala Mata. It's a beautiful premise. I used to read there, sit and read. And I used to meet with Parakala Mata Disha. And always used to learn something from their teaching, and that was in a student life. And a lot of things I have experienced by adapting some of those teachings, those times. So it's a little different. Sometimes my mother used to worry that is he on the right path? But that's how I was. But that over the years, as I matured, the knowing the self and beyond, that grew, right? I needed to know more and more. So search for a spiritual guru was started. And in year 1999, I found a spiritual guru who can help me in my spiritual progress. And that's when I also had a deep connection with Jagannatha Mahaprabhu. So, but somewhere there was some void that I always felt. What is that void? Is finding a guru in our own Acharya Parampara, right? So I tried many ways to find a guru who can further enhance my spiritual progress. So, but I was not successful. So I would say around 2012 or 2013, when my father-in-law told me that let's go and meet someone very close in Rajajanagar area, right? And then I met a divine personality, a calm demeanor, spiritually evolved, sitting with white clothes, with a long beard, and who has dedicated his life towards the society majorly. And that divine person that I met on that day in 2012 and 2013 was Tiru Swami, which was the pre-monastic name of our beloved His Holiness Yathiraja Jeeyar Swami. My very first interaction with him was like a magnet, I just got very first, just not many words exchanged. I was just sitting with him, taking bow at his lotus feet. That's all. I was looking at his feet all the time. And it was like a magnet, I just got, carried away, and I was immediately said, in my mind, I finally found. Right? So I was humbled by his grace. So it was really an eureka moment at that time, and God is really kind, and finally He helped me to find a guru from our own lineage of acharyas. I also learned in the journey of talking to him that his love towards music, and and those days, the number of people, the disciples, were very limited. But even though he had a lot of people, but it's a small crowd. So I remember those days that we started the music program in those days in a small place in Mill Colony. It's Ramanujaya Samskriti Bhavana, right? I think that was the name. And a lot of music programs were conducted by him, and he was sitting and gracing the occasion. So it was like a get-together for most of us, during that time. And we used to enjoy those music programs, and of course, as always, there will be a sumptuous food at the end of the program. And it was conducted in a small crowd, and it was very beautiful, and I just remember those days. And now that music program has extended to so many verticals, and so many things are happening around that. So that's one of my remembrances when Purvashrama days, when with Jeeyar Swami. And I remember once that he had a cold shoulder. He could not lift his shoulder. It was very painful, and I used to come and meet with him, and he said, "Inmo arle pai potporna, I'll take some Ayurvedic medicines and koncham kuldrikana, so it should be okay." But I used to ask him, 1 day is over, 2 days over, and he used to literally could not move his shoulder. So that time Raghu was not there. So there was it's a good doctor, orthopedic doctor in Malleshwaram. So he said, "Our Nana Pakra, let's go." And we just forced him, and took him as usual. He was hesitant to come, but he just came, and then he gave him some medicines, and I don't know whether he took it or not, but I just remember that I don't think after that he never had a cold shoulder after that. Right? That's one of the first and the last time that he had a cold shoulder. So it was an interesting, and that was the time that I had a privilege to take him in my own personal car as a driver into the doctor, and it was like he was sitting next to me, and there was just general conversations, and it's a beautiful experience, I would say. So one of the things that my spiritual guru tells me always, that as is your company, so is your color. What does it actually mean? Is that good company, right, always results in good vibrations, and thus we need to perceive that company into an association. So as your association is your progress, right? So company leads to an association, and further that leads to progress in your life. And this particular preaching is so ideal in my life and company and association with Jeeyar Swami. So, who also eventually took Sannyasa Diksha and became an Acharya and continued to bless us today. So that's the reason why I named this small talk as My Company and Association for the spiritual growth. So, one of the things, my observations, right? So, if you look at this song of Bhagavad Gita, it's the life learnings for all of us. Krishna Paramatma takes us through the journey of yoga, right? He goes and explains to us many yogas: Karma Yoga, Jnana, Bhakti, Dhyana, and Prapatti, the complete surrender to the Almighty. And all these yogas, these attributes, the importance of each one of these journey towards the God realization. So my interaction, looking at the entire life, starting from the childhood of Jeeyar Swami, His Holiness has actually traversed through each stage of all this yoga as clearly as depicted by Krishna, you know, completely to the point as it did with Supreme Lord. And it's very, very unique in my limited knowledge, especially in the modern age and time when you can see a one divine personality going through all the stages of yoga exactly to the dot as explained by Krishna Paramatma. So we are really lucky to have him with us, and with that it's our loss if we don't take those learnings from us, right? So that's what I perceive it as. So what's actually the learning with all these associations, right? So some of the important qualities that that we will be looking at him as one of the foremost is the discipline. Being a monk is not so easy. I have been in ashram, and I have been associated with many monks in Puri. So I know exactly monkhood is not easy. It's much more complicated than a family life. And with so many rituals and so many people's coming and every day meeting and visiting him, and he has to still keep his sadhanas and sanchara, and it is not easy. It's so magical when you look at all this, how he handles his time, right? He doesn't leave anything unturned. Every minor details to the perfection. Nothing is left unattended as far as ashram activities or mutt activities or anything is concerned. So he keeps a tab on each and everything with so disciplined mind. And that's really something that we can all observe in our lives also. And the other thing is, I would say a very interesting thing is called compassionately detached. A very unique word that we come across called compassionately detached. This detachment as being a monk is it's like a characteristic of a monk to be detached. And Jeeyar Swami was detached in pre-monastic life also. He was detached before he took sannyasa diksha. There is nothing new for him except for his change of his color of his clothes. Otherwise, he is the same personality. But what stands out in this is his compassion, his kindness towards the society, and he's a very big family that he has. It's not a small family. He has a big family with all the devotees. And he cares so deeply to each one of them, right? With so much of love and affection, and always making a difference to the society. So all the development programs that he is conceptualizing, providing the lunch to the children, the needy people, the medicines, you can go on and so forth. And I don't think there's any end to this. So having detached and still compassion about the things, and it's very unique combination. Very easy to be detached as a sadhu and then okay, I will sit and be myself, but that's not what he is. And that's one of the important characteristic, right? And the other one is, of course, everybody knows how visionary he is, and visionary leaders he is. And in corporate that we are all part of, we take so many programs, and we attend so many lectures. There are videos and books written around what visionary leader is all about. But when I look at all that, and they say that we are getting it free of cost in Mutt. We don't need to go to any programs. We don't need to spend money on this. Somebody writes some fascinating book about visionary leaders, and nothing of that is required. You just come to the Mutt, sit here for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You will all know what visionary leader is all about. It's free of cost. And so we are blessed to have such an experience for all of us here. And one of the things that I personally feel that as a leader is that he empowers the team, right? He conceptualizes and empowers the team and builds the trust, which is so important in as a leader, right? To have the trust to carry out all the initiatives that he conceptualizes. And also he is very adept in choosing the individuals to perform the task, which is exemplary. I know a lot of people may get confused on, does he have a bias? No, it is not a bias. He just exactly knows which disciple is good at doing what. And he chooses that, and then he says, Acharya Ramanujaya will take care. That's it. What is so important here is the process that he follows, not the outcome. Right? He gives so much of importance to the process, which we all should understand that in our life, process is important, outcome is given to the Almighty. Right? That's the philosophy that he comes up with. and that's really, really something that we should be really, really proud of having such an divine personality with us, and every day showing what the visionary leader is all about. And there is nothing that we cannot do that in our own lives when following his footsteps. And so the one of the important thing that I always like about is that when I say that he doesn't look at the outcome, but he always says he surrenders everything at the hand of Acharya. So because the confidence comes because he has followed the process. That's what it's about, right? Finally, and I think is a perfect example of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, right? End of the day, all acharyas and gurus that we have will show us the ways for sure, and we have to walk the path, and then the process of God realization, and we are blessed to have His Holiness, amongst us to guide us. So there are many more experiences, and one of my personal experiences also has been, going on a flight journey with him to Jagannatha Kshetra, sitting next to him in the flight, and generally talking about what is divinity is all about, and how are you pursuing divinity? Do we need to go to the temples to perceive the divinity all the time, or can we perceive the divinity within amongst ourselves? And what is dhyana? And what is prana? So many things that we spoke about in that small 2 hours flight to the Jagannatha Kshetra. It was a blissful experience for me. And even today, whenever I go to the ashram, the first thing that they ask is, how is Jeeyar Swami? So the kind of impact that he has created amongst the people who has no association with Mutt whatsoever. Every time I go, the first thing that they ask is, how is Jeeyar Swami? When is he coming back? We would like to have him here to be with us, and we would like to meditate in front of him. And and they said, Goshala, and there's so many things that they are saying that he has created the Goshala after coming, and we are also happy about it, and we want to even come and look at his Goshala in Tonnur. So people always look upon him, and then there are many things that they also think that is such a calm personality with no expectations or whatsoever, just as a simple room there, and they literally love our Jeeyar Swami for sure. And finally, and this particular mantra that I'm going to chant speaks about the entire gist of whole thing. Dhyana moolam guror murti, puja moolam guror padam, mantra moolam guror vakyam, moksha moolam guror kripa. My prayers at the lotus feet of Jeeyar Swami. Jai Jagannath.